Maybe you, Jefferson, you want to start with an introduction?
Yes, I'll start with the introduction. Thank you, Stephen. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for what promises to be an insightful and practical discussion around modern application delivery. My name is Jefferson Belfort, and I'm with FlexKey. At FlexKey, we're focused on enabling secure, scalable, and user-centric digital workspaces. And this topic today couldn't be any more relevant. We're thrilled to be partnered here with Parallels for this session. Whether you're navigating the complexities of hybrid work, trying to streamline IT operations, or looking for ways to securely deliver your applications, this is the conversation to be having then. Joining us today is Stephen DeWinters. He's the Senior Global Director of Sales Engineering and Customer Success from Parallels. He'll walk through how organizations much like yours are leveraging Parallels to simplify their app delivery without sacrificing security or user experience. We'll have a couple minutes at the end for a Q&A, so drop any questions you may have in the chat at any time throughout this session. But Stephen, the floor is yours. Let's get started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. So on today's agenda, what I will try to do with you is give you an overview of what Parallels is and how we can help you in the secure application and desktop delivery. Before I jump into that part, I think it's also important to do a little bit of positioning of the company and some of the research we have done very specifically on what we see that's happening on the market side and how we can help address that. Parallels is not new. We've been in business since 1999. I think probably many of you know us from running Windows on a Mac. That's the same Parallels. That's the same company. But we have a wide range of products that go beyond running Windows on a Mac, which is our Parallels desktop product. But we also have a portfolio of products around server cloud delivery. And what we're going to talk about today is mainly about something called remote application server. Our products are used in 20% of the Fortune 500, and we have around 50,000 businesses that use our product. We are part of the Alludo group. So Alludo is our mother company, which also holds other brands like, for example, CorelDRAW, Mind Manager, WinZip. So we have a rich history of having like world-class products in our portfolio. If you look a little bit more specific to RAS and to Parallels in specific, we have been recognized also by the industry, and I think that's something important. So it's not only because we've been long time in business that we have a quality product, but also if you take a look at some of those analysts like Gartner and IDC, you will see, for example, in the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant, we are called one of the visionaries. Like you have the big four: Microsoft, Omnisa, Citrix, and Amazon, and then Parallels is one of the visionaries in their Magic Quadrant. It's the same thing with IDC. So if you take a look at the IDC market space, we will be under the Alludo brand in there, but that's of course Parallels. You will see that we're also being recognized as one of the major players in this field, and that's good to have like recognition by analysts. But I think having a lot of customers and customers all over the globe and all kinds of sizes and types of business is, I think, something even more important. I'm myself based out of Belgium, but for example, I can tell you that almost 1 in 3 cities in Belgium are, for example, using Parallels software to give remote access to their applications and data. If you take a look at this map of logos, you will recognize a lot of them probably. So, for example, federal police, that's the police departments in Belgium. We have, for example, here that's a large city in Spain that's also using the software. We have the city of Brussels, which is using it. So we have a nice set of references in the whole world in public sector specifically. I've understood that the majority of the people following today's webinar are out of public sector. It's a product which is has a wide set of use cases, so it's not developed specifically for public sector, but we see that public sector is a very nice use case, and we have like a lot of public references in that space. We are also part of the overall ecosystem, so I think that's also something important. Very often these products need to be integrated into existing environments. So you will see when I go through the slide deck what we do and how it works, and when I'm doing a demo, that we are part of this ecosystem. So we have, for example, integrations into things like Nutanix, into VMware, into Hyper-V when it comes to like hypervisor integration. But we have the same in cloud platforms from Microsoft, from Amazon. We work with some of the thin client providers, like for example Agile, 10Z. So I think it's important that our solution is not standalone, but we integrate into the wider ecosystem of partners. If we go like one step backwards and we take a look on what's happening today in the market, I think for all of you who are into like end user computing or into the remote application delivery or making sure that applications can be accessed from any device, I think the least that we can say is that it's interesting times, and there are several key challenges, and we also have some data that can back up these things. But if we take a look what's going on, I think first of all there is a disruption in the traditional vendor landscape, and the names are not on the slide, but for example, if you take a look at what Citrix and VMware Omnissa is doing, it's disturbing the market. Prices go up, licenses need to be committed for a very long time, flexibility is removed, margin for partners are changing. So there is a lot of people that are looking for alternatives because, for example, price increases on their traditional vendors that they have. On the other hand, what we're also seeing is that environments become more and more complex. Security is being important. Complexity is also coming from the fact that, for example, people want to mix certain workloads on premise with other workloads in the cloud. People want to make any kind of device accessible to their business application. So the complexity of the environments is increasing. But on the other hand, budgets go down. IT skills or IT people becoming more and more difficult to find. So like complexity goes up, but the budget and the people go down. So these are like two forces that are opposite to each other. And on top of that, we also see that the security risks are increasing. Where in the past, most people were accessing their applications and desktops only from in the office. With COVID from a few years ago, everything had to be made available from outside, from home, from a mix of managed devices and unmanaged devices. So the cybersecurity risks have only grown since that time. And on top of that, we also see that more and more vendors come in, and that it's very often like a mix of multiple vendors that need to be managed together, and that will also increase costs and complexity and IT skills shortages. So all these things are one way or another linked to each other, but it shows that the market and that there are a lot of challenges currently ongoing. And this is also something which is confirmed by some research that we do. So every year at Parallels, we send out a cloud survey to our customers and prospects. And if you take a look at some of the interesting numbers from this year's survey, we see, for example, that 42% of our people that we have asked that were replying to this questionnaire indicated that the rising cost for them is a key driver for a change in strategy. So they see certain costs go up and they come to a point that they cannot afford them anymore or they cannot pay them anymore. We literally had customers that came to us that said like, hey, we just got our new Citrix quote. It's all of a sudden like 50% more expensive. We have to pay so many millions. We don't have the money. We are like in an emergency. We need to migrate away because we only have like 6 months or 2 months or 6 weeks left before the license ends. So it's a very live concern at almost half of the prospects that we reached out to. We also noticed that it's not very uncommon these days to have like multi-cloud or multi hybrid environments, so that it's not longer all running on one platform, but that people are making a mix of running some workloads in the data center, some workloads on clouds, or for example, or in the middle of a transition, they're transitioning, for example, from VMware to Nutanix or these kinds of migration. So that's another thing that has been confirmed by our statistics. Also that it's a hot topic in IT departments. 58% of the organizations are actively seeking for DaaS or VDI solutions. And of those 58% that are looking, 94% plan to do it on the short term. So plan to do it within the next 12 months. So this is some data that backups those statements from before, that it's interesting time to be in this market. What we have also seen is, for example, the cybersecurity challenges. We've seen that there is a more than 200% increase of phishing attempts, for example, in the second half of 2024. 75% of the IT professionals believe that their organizations are more open to cyber threats, since they are allowing remote work. Another very important factor, it's not only the software, but for example, 68% of the breaches had any human elements in it. So this could, for example, be like a lack of skills or a lack of people that are capable of configuring the software in the right way. And like 2 out of 3 incidents were not linked to, for example, a bug or an issue with the software directly, but to the human element into the picture. And if something goes wrong, it has a big impact. So 89% has had these kinds of attacks, and 96%, let's say, everyone said that they had a negative impact by this event. And for 20%, it took even weeks or months to recover from it. So security is a very important angle when we look at remote application and desktop delivery. And I think this has to do also with the new time we are in. If we go back a few years ago, when COVID was like all around, we were in a completely other situation. I think at that time, everything was around business survival. It was about speed, access. The full force has to work remote. These decisions were done very tactical, and there was a very high tolerance towards cost. So the cost was not a driver. It was like, make sure we can continue our operations, and we'll take care of all the rest afterwards. If you take a look at today, those things have drastically changed. I think the past 2 years, it's all about efficiency. It's all about total cost of ownership, about return on investments. Hybrid is the new standard. It's not full remote, it's not full on site, but hybrid is the new standard. And not only in the way people work, but also in how platforms are used. It's a mix from on-premise and cloud. It's a mix of applications on the device and a mix of applications running centrally. And it's at the end, it's all about the cost versus security risk. So it's about how can we, with the budget that we have, make sure that we have an as flexible environment as possible, taking into account things like security and total cost of ownership. The last set of data before I jump into a quick demo of parallel RAS. If we take a look at the human aspect, and we had some data from some global surveys on employees, 98% of people that you ask to want some kind of remote or hybrid work. Of course, not every job is possible to do remote. If some jobs you have to be like physically present. I'm just taking like one example. If you work in a restaurant, you have to be in the restaurant. That's of course very, very obvious. But from the jobs that can be done remote, 98% of people are interested in working either partially remote or full remote. And 63% of those people also said that they would consider a new job if it would not be possible in the current role to do like any of those two, like hybrid or remote. And also 63% of the people says that they work more efficiently. So it's not only a win for the employee, but also for the employer that these things are possible. There was also a survey, and the links are in the slide, that if you allow people to work like partially remote, that it could have like a very big annual saving per employee. And those savings are, for example, in the fact that you need like less offices, less space. And I think at Parallels, we are a very nice example of this. We are a 100% remote first company. So The past years, we always only hired for talent, no longer for location. And for example, very recently, we have closed a lot of our offices. So the former Belgium office, for example, was closed. Our headquarters was reduced from several floors in a large building to only like one floor. Offices have been closed all over the world, and this gives us like a very significant cost saving on that side. I don't see the questions on the chat, but if there are any questions, please ask them. If any one of the moderators, if there would be like an urgent question that I need to address during the presentation, please interrupt me. But I don't see the chat for the moment. What I would like to do before I jump into the demo, I would like to give you like a very quick overview of what Parallels RAS is. We call it's a total solution. So it's a single solution that has all the components needed to do this remote application and desktop delivery. The nice thing is like everything is part of the base license. So it means that every component, every piece, it's not like, for example, with Microsoft that you have an E1 and an E2 and an E3, and the more features or the more security that you want, that the higher the price comes of the license. The nice thing about Parallels is that it's a single license. Everything is included. That means that from the client side, we allow you to work with a web browser, with a client on your Windows or Mac or Linux device, but also things like Android, iOS, thin clients are all supported. On the other side, so the resources that we deliver, this could be like published applications on Windows servers. This could be virtual desktops. This could be remote PC. So we also offer, for example, the capabilities to take over somebody's desktop, which might be in the office or in a specific room. That's also one of the use cases we support. We also support integration into Azure Virtual Desktop, and we also support things like local apps. And then on the platform itself, it's a total solution. So I will start the demo after this slide, but you will see there is a user portal. There are things like load balancing. It's supporting multi-tenancy. It's supporting both on-premise cloud. We offer capabilities for single sign-on. It has built-in monitoring, reporting, and management systems. So let's do a quick demo. Unless there are questions I need to address right now. If so, please let me know. So this is, as you can see, I'm running on my Windows PC for the moment. I could have done the same demo from my MacBook, but I'm working from my Windows PC as we speak. This is a very simple way to authenticate username, password, and I'm in. Of course, we can augment this with multi-factor authentication. The product comes with built-in MFA. So if you would not have anything out of the box without any extra cost, we can do something like a QR code. You scan it with a telephone, and then with Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, we can let people in. Same thing, for example, with email. We can, for example, send an email with a 6-digit code. You type in the 6-digit code via your email and you're in, but also more complex things like single sign-on integration via things like Okta or Microsoft Entra ID or possible. So we can facilitate any kind of security needed. And then once you're into the system, we offer you both the capabilities for running specific desktops or running individual applications. So this is also a nice thing. You don't have to choose up front. We run both capabilities. It is technically possible to work 100% in the web browser. So if needed, I don't need to install anything on my device. I can run 100% browser based. On the other hand, there is also a client available. So if I would, for example, start this Notepad++ through the client, what's happening now is my Parallels environment is making my client is making a connection with this Parallels environment. I'm logging in as we speak, and in a few seconds there it is. You have my published Notepad. So this is something that doesn't run on my own computer. This is something that runs on a server in the data center, and I can start working on it. So any type of applications can be brought to any device. It could be a managed device. It could be an unmanaged device. without having the need to install it locally, or without the need for VPNs or other security components. Everything can runs in this case out of the Parallels environment. So on my Windows PC, I have the Parallels client. I connected through the web portal, and then the web portal assigned me to a server, and from there the application is started. This could be a CRM application or an ERP application, or an application which is linked to the city, and that could be anything that would be typically needed on the device. On the other hand, it's not only like individual applications that can be started. We can do the same thing with a full desktop, so that's also technically possible. I don't know how many of you are IT administrators who are in this call, but let me also give you a quick view on the administrator side. So one of the things that where Parallels stands out for is its simplicity, not only for the end user but also for the administrator. So as an administrator, I have a tool which is called my remote application console, and in this console we can manage everything. So we can manage from in here all the components. So if, for example, I'll take a look at my environment. This is an environment where I have like 2 gateways. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 session hosts. I have some AVD components. I have two connection brokers. So from in here we can manage everything, and it's also I don't know how familiar you are with these kinds of technologies, but for example, if you're familiar with Citrix or Omnissa, it's a very simple system. It's way less complicated than those competitors. For example, we can very simply integrate with any platform. So for example, if you would be like a VMware customer, we can just with a few settings, we can link the Parallels environment with your VMware environment, and then once this is done, we can, for example, go to the VDIs. We can create a template. So if I want to create a template, the only thing I would need to do is like click on plus. It would give me a list of all my machines which are visible on my VMware environment. I pick the machine I want as a template. I'll specify that it's, for example, a full clone. I specify the sizing. So I specify how many CPUs, how many memory it can have. I specify how it needs to be prepped. This is a process to make a copy of that image. So I just need to specify some data, and then optimizations can be turned on, licenses, and my template is ready. So as you can see, it's a very simple process. And then once those templates are ready, we can start deploying them. So I could, for example, say I want to make a production pool. So a pool is a group of machines. So let's call this the production pool. And then in this production pool, I could, for example, say I want to deploy from a template. From which template? For example, from the Windows 11 template, which version? I want to use the production version. And then I could, for example, say like create 20 machines. I hit next, and it will automatically deploy 20 of those desktops. So as you can see, very simple, very straightforward. This also works for session hosts. So if you're publishing like individual applications from session host, we can do the same thing. We can also create like pools from these templates. In this case, what we also can do is, for example, let me take this one. We can, for example, say auto scaling. And this is something super interesting. If you're working on, let's say, public clouds, you have to pay for your consumption. And maybe some days you have more users, some other days you don't have a lot of users. Maybe during the night, you only want to keep like 1 machine up, but during the day you might need 20. These are all things we can configure in RAS. And for example, say like whenever the load is 80%, start up an extra machine, and whenever the load goes below 25, start cleaning up the machine again. So all these things will, for example, not only help you with deploying your software or deploying your environment or making it very simple to deploy this environment, but it will also help you on the cost side to reduce costs, for example, of your public clouds. And we have seen that in some cases we were able to reduce costs with up to 80%. So this is also something where we can help you if you're running on Azure, if you're using AVD, if you're running on Amazon. We can also help you with making sure that your cloud infrastructure cost is not only simple to deploy and automatically maintain, but we can also make sure that from a cost point of view, cost optimizations are done automatically. And through this simplified console, we can do a lot of things. I won't go into detail. If you have like any specific questions, we can address them at the end of this webinar, or if you have a specific use case or you want to test it out, or you have been testing it out and you run into some problems, we can help you with your specific case. The only thing I still wanted to show you is, for example, the fact that the product is pretty complete. So things like built-in reporting are part of the product. It's not that we're going to ask more money or an extra license if you want to have like some reporting. And it goes from very basic things like who logged in at what time to, for example, also information on things like quality or on latency. And so, for example, like if I want to see the latency is latency is like the perception of how fast something is. Like if something reaches a certain latency, people will see that if they move their mouse, like the mouse comes after. That's latency. So we have, for example, built-in reports that show you like what the latency or the experience latency is of those users on this environment. The nice thing is it's not only in reports that we can see these things, but we can also see it live. So, for example, this is like my current session. I'm connecting, for example, from my machine at home. I'm connecting through these IP addresses. My network is pretty good. I didn't have any network drops, and it took me like 5 seconds almost to start the application. And it was like 1 second for the connection, and then half of a second for the desktop to load. So you have all the like 1.3 seconds for the profile. For the policy. So you have all the details in here. And for example, I'm connected from my machine and I'm actually running my application. Like my Notepad++ is currently running on this RAS1 machine. So we get all the details from in the system. I will pause the demo over here. We can certainly come back later on if there would be any questions. I think if we go back to the slides. What makes Parallels RAS unique? It's these 5 things. It's simplicity. It's very easy to deploy, very easy to use. It's flexible. Today you might be on VMware. Tomorrow you might be on Hyper-V or on Nutanix. It's all about TCO, and TCO is not only the license price. So yes, our licenses are very attractive, and we can give you like a very nice cost saving versus your traditional vendors on the license price. But it's also about the total cost. Like you need less administrators. It's more simple to maintain. You don't need SQL licenses. You don't need extra components. Everything is run from in that one console. So it's the total cost which is less expensive. User experience anywhere, any device, native clients or browser-based. That's all possible. And then security. Security is not a paying option, but it's part of the basic product. So you don't have to pay extra for security. It comes with reporting. It comes with multi-factor authentication. It comes with SSL encryption. It comes with single sign-on. All these things are part of the basic product and can be enabled with just a few clicks in the console. So that brings us back to that simplicity. Having a secure environment doesn't mean it needs to be complex, and having a simple environment doesn't mean it needs to be not secure. We found a very nice balance between simplicity on one hand and security on the other. I won't go into all details, but just want to highlight that the Parallels RAS solution is a complete solution. So that means on the infrastructure side, we take care of the backend automation, we take care of the cloud provisioning, we take care of the on-premise provisioning. We integrate in all kinds of platforms, as you can see, Scale, Nutanix, Azure, Amazon. Everything is being integrated from. Same thing for user access. So it's not only from Windows or from Mac. It's also from HTML. It's also from thin clients. It's also from mobile devices. So we cover the full spectrum of devices. This also means that in your case, if for example you want to give somebody from home access to an application, but you don't want to pay for a laptop, or you don't want to open up everything on that device or provide support on those devices. That's also very easily possible. Security already covered. It's FIPS compliant. It has built-in MFA, SSL encryption, and integration with Let's Encrypt for the certificate. So it's a full set of security tools and practices and components which are part of the basic product. From an admin point of view, everything is done through that console that I have shown. We support things like auto scaling. If you like to script, it can also be done through API. We have a PowerShell API that can be used. We have very far integration to Microsoft concepts like FSLogix, MSIX. So all these things can be also managed from in the console. No need to work with GPOs or XML files if you're into this space. So it's a very intuitive and complete admin experience that we offer. And then the same on the user side. Things like universal printing, universal scanning, support for multi-monitor, high-resolution monitors, GPU workloads. We even have some AI algorithms into the product, for example, to predict when people would log into the system and, for example, already launch their desktop so that they don't have to wait for them. So there are all kinds of very nice features and functionality into the product to make sure that also from a user experience everything is okay. If you go a little bit more technical, so how does RAS look like from an architecture or from a component point of view? So all these components are part of the basic license. You can install all of them, let's say, on a single machine, or you can spread them over multiple machines. But in essence, the main components are the secure gateway and the connection broker. The secure gateway is where you connect to with your client or with your web browser, and then the connection broker is like the brains of the system. It's that part of the system that will do the user authentication, that will auto scale your backend systems, that will take care of high availability. If you want to have multiple gateways, we have a component called the high available load balancer. So it's not needed to buy an external product for making your gateways high available. That's also part of the product. It's called the HAL-B, the high available load balancer. And then from in here, we have something called providers. That's what I have shown you with that VMware or Azure or those templates. So we have a bunch of providers that integrate into things like Hyper-V, Azure, Nutanix, Scale, AVD, Amazon, Azure. And from there, we can then do this auto provisioning, auto scaling, creating templates, clones, rebuild machines at Sunday night. So we can do all these kinds of automations on those platforms. Also important, it's fully multi-farm, multi-site capable. So if you have like multiple sites, maybe you have a site in New York, you have another site in San Francisco, we can have support for multiple sites, all from in one console if needed. And I've mentioned already a few times, like hybrid means a lot of things. Hybrid means like, do I work from home? Do I work from the office? Hybrid also means like, do my workloads run on cloud? Do my workloads run on premise? And these are all things we support. So for example, on the client side, we could, for example, offer capabilities where some applications run in the cloud, some other applications run still in your data center while you're transitioning from Hyper-V to Nutanix. And then maybe some applications run on the device. And this is, again, a very nice example of how Parallels can help you with hybrid working. For example, if the applications can be found on the device, we will start them on the device. If the applications cannot be found on the device, the Parallels client is smart enough to, for example, launch them remotely. So this is also something that is interesting to know. So if you take a look on that choice and the flexibility, we support on-premise cases, we support cloud, also multi-cloud and hybrid. So it's not like with some other vendors where if you start on-premise and you want to go to cloud that you have to pay for another license or that you have to pay extra. We give you the full flexibility to go from on-premise to cloud, go back from cloud to on-premise, to switch between cloud vendors, to switch between on-premise vendors, to switch from an on-premise vendor to a cloud vendor, come back or use everything at the same time. That's not a restriction. That's all part of the solution. And this is a nice quote from one of the system architects at Metropolix. Metropolix is a service provider which is like a little bit like FlexKey, which is focused on public sector. It's a Belgian one, but it's a nice quote that I got from him, and he says like one of the big advantages is that it's easy to use and easy to implement compared to other products. The deployment is straightforward. I think this is also gold. Like if you can do something simple, why make it complicated? Simple things are the most easy to maintain, or the most easy to update, or the most secure. So this is a very nice quote from a colleague at a partner that works specific on public sector. If I would go back in summary, and so it's about simplicity, it's about flexibility, TCO, user experience, and also a lot about security. Let me pause here for a second. I can jump back to the demo and go into more details, but let me check if there are any questions at this time, or points that you want me to go into more detail. I cannot see the chat, otherwise I can stop sharing my screen and quickly have a look at the chat if there are any questions that came in.
I do not see any.
No questions. Anything I still need to address or cover? Anything that was not completely clear or that could require a little bit extra attention? No? Then I think we can probably stop a little bit earlier than foreseen. I don't know, Jefferson, if you want to do like an outro, but from my side, certainly thank you for joining. If there are any things we can help you with, let me should set back the slide. So if you want to discover more, go to our website. There's also the direct contact for Parallels, but of course, in your case, I would highly recommend to reach out to your contact person at FlexKey. Parallels, we are a 100% channel-driven organization. So if you reach us, we will anyway bring you back to FlexKey as one of our preferred partners. But I've put an email address on it just as a reference. If you want to try it out, you can try it out. Go to the website, fill in the form. You will get an email with a link to the software. You can deploy it. There is capabilities for a test license. We have documentation which is fully open and free available. So if you go to docsparallels.com, it's open on the internet. And also we have a nice set of tech bites. So these are like small videos explaining specific capabilities of the product, and we go into more details.
All right, thank you, Stephen. I'll just recommit. I'll just go over what you said as well and say thank you for everyone stopping and joining us on this webinar. If you want to share this with a colleague, if that wasn't able to attend, we're actually recording and we'll make it available in the coming weeks. Feel free to reach out to me. We'll contact you, or you can feel free to contact us if you'd like to get that recording. But I believe that's it. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Have a nice day, all of you.